down your debt can be one of the best ways to improve your financial situation. But just because paying down your debt is important, it doesn't mean that it's easy, especially if you're making mistakes during the process that can sabotage your whole efforts of improving your financial life. So in this video, we're going to tackle the 10 most common money mistakes to avoid while paying down your debt. So stick around. Hi folks, I'm Jordan, and if this is your first time joining us, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified whenever we upload new videos. The first thing that you want to avoid when paying down your debt is not having an emergency fund. Now, your emergency fund is funds that you set aside for unexpected events. It's going to be your buffer so that when something crazy happens while you're paying down your debt, then you have funds available to be able to cover that expense. If you don't have an emergency fund, then you're going to end up having to use debt to cover that expense, which is the complete opposite of what you're trying to do. Now, you don't have to have a huge ton of money 6 months or 9 months right now when you're in the process of paying down your debt, but you want to have at least what I recommend is $2,500. Now, that's a pretty average number for folks to be able to have enough to cover the deductible on their auto insurance. So if they have a car accident, they can get their car fixed. It also is just about enough to cover some of the medical deductibles that are there so that if you do need to go to the doctor, there is some money available for that. And it's also big enough to cover some of the regular stuff that might happen. So if you get a flat tire or if you need to get something fixed around your house. So you want to at least have $2,500 to get started in your emergency fund, and that's going to help you weather any issues that happens while you're focused on paying off your debt. Now, number 2 is not having a system for how you're going to pay off debt. It is not enough for you to know that you want to pay off debt. It's not enough for you to just decide that you're ready. You need to have a system for what you're going to do, when, and how you're going to stay on track. Now, if you need some more information on a system to be able to pay down your debt, then go ahead and check out my video that I had where I highlighted all the things that I did in my system to pay off $30,000 in under 12 months. Number 3 is getting overzealous with your payments. It's really exciting when you start paying off your debt that you want to do as much as possible. It's perfectly normal for wanting to pay off as much as possible and as quickly as possible. But you want to make sure that the debt payments that you have in line are going to still allow you to be able to have a life, to be able to keep yourself secure so you're not putting yourself in danger, and also be able to buy food and pay your bills and to meet your regular everyday expenses. If you get too ambitious with your debt payoff, you could end up putting all your funds towards paying down your debt and then ending up lacking at the end of the month and having to go back into credit to pay your electric bill or pay your water bill. You do not want to do that. So it's important to create a realistic plan and a realistic budget of paying down your debt while being able to sustain your life, okay? You definitely don't want to start avoiding the dentist or having to avoid the doctor because you don't have the funds because you paid off too much in your debt. Number 4, using high-level techniques before you're ready. Now, I completely get it. You see these stories of folks using debt consolidation loans and balance transfers to be able to pay off their debt faster. And believe me, those methods do work, but they're not good for you if you're not at the stage where you're ready to be able to use them effectively. The last thing you want to do is to get a balance transfer and then feel tempted to use your credit again, and then you end up in a situation where you're even worse than you were before. You want to get started on your debt payoff plan. You want to have some good progress in that plan, and then once you know that you're able to stay the course, then you can implement some of these higher level techniques so that you are able to successfully get to the end of paying off your debt and not get yourself in more trouble. Number 5 is focusing on the wrong kind of debt. Now, a lot of us can have a mirage of debt. So we will have credit cards, we might have student loans, auto loans, and mortgages, and you want to make sure that you are paying off those debts in the right order. It doesn't make a whole ton of sense to pay off your mortgage first, if you know it's going to take years on top of years to pay that off, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to focus on paying down your student loan debt first that might have a fixed and lower interest rate. It would make a lot more sense to focus on paying down your credit cards, which are revolving credit cards, and ones that have higher interest rates, usually much higher than auto loans, student loans, or mortgages. So you want to make sure you're focused on paying down those first. So credit cards are great to pay down first. Then the next would be your auto loan or your student loans. And then finally your mortgage, just because some of these debts will take a really long time, and it gives you much more momentum if you start paying the smaller ones first that are quick to just get out the door. They have higher interest rates, and they're actually going to be able to get you going a lot faster on your debt pay down. Number 6 is not reining in your spending. So if you're still in the process of using your credit cards and continuously spending on these cards, this can be a really big problem when you're trying to pay down your debt, because you're constantly creating new debt that you now have to pay off while you're in the process of paying off the old debt. Now, this is incredibly hard. I get it. I have been through the exact same process. It is very difficult to avoid using your cards again, especially when they're starting to come down. But you do want to do that, because if you don't, you're going to spend all of your new funds that you're freeing up for your debt to pay down those new debts that you just created. Now, go ahead and put it in the comments if you have had this happen to you before. I will raise my hand and say that it has happened to me. I have done it, so you are not alone. And just tell me in the comments so I can know that I am not alone too. Number 7 is ignoring your retirement savings. A lot of folks feel that if they're in the process of paying down their debt, then they should throw all other goals out the door and just focus on your debt. Now, it's really a good idea for you to keep just focused on one goal at a time, but you shouldn't throw out all the other goals, because there is life after paying off your debt. And some goals will not wait for you to be done with debt before you need it. So if it's something like buying a house or buying a car, you can delay that for a year or 2 years or 5 years, and you can still buy the car later. But when you delay your retirement, you are now not putting money in so that you don't get the benefit of that compound interest. So you're actually losing money, and then you're losing time. And so when you decide that you're ready to start paying into your retirement, you're going to have to pay so much more just to catch up. I recommend that folks will do at least the minimum to be able to get their company match, and then they're able to get the free dollars that their company is giving them, and then focus everything else on your debt. Now, I understand that everybody's situation is different. Everyone's goals are different. Their values are different. Their timelines are different. So you will want to make that decision for yourself. Number 8 is going debt payoff crazy. When you decide that you're ready to pay off debt, you can get really excited about making as many payments as possible and making as big a payments as possible. But you don't want to fall into the trap of doing things that end up sabotaging your long-term goals. Things like cashing out your 401k and having to pay extra taxes and extra penalties just because you want to pay off debt, or selling income-producing assets just to pay off debt. Now, again, everyone's situation is different, and you have to determine for yourself what level or how far you're willing to go or what you're willing to do. But you should always consult with either a tax professional or a certified financial planner before you decide to do these type of activities that can have long-lasting consequences just to pay off your debt right now. Number 9 is waiting until you have more money to pay off your debt. A lot of times we can feel like if I just had more money, then I would be able to pay off my debt so much faster. And we seem to underestimate the power of those small compounding payments. So even if it's $10 or $20 or $50, all those extra small payments that you can make are helping to chip away at your debt little by little by little. You don't need to wait until you have a massive amount of funds or that you're making double your salary or triple your salary. Every effort that you can make now is beneficial to paying your debt off faster. And number 10 is not knowing your why and not tracking your progress. Knowing why you are trying to get out of debt is what's going to keep you on track when you are watching folks on Instagram or Facebook and they're going on vacations and they're hitting milestones and they're buying houses and they're doing stuff. And in the meantime, you're sitting here just trying to focus on chipping away at that debt. Knowing why you're doing this is what's going to wake you up in the morning when you have to go and make another payment and you'd really prefer to do something else. And tracking your progress is another way to keep you excited and to help you stay on track. Because no matter how you feel about paying off your debt right now, how motivated you are, how inspired you are, all of those things will fade as time goes on, and tracking your progress helps to keep you excited that things are kind of, actually going somewhere and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So go ahead and put in the comments and tell me what you use to track your debt, whether you use debt charts or an application or whatever it is. Tell us so that we can know how you are doing to keep track of your debt. So if you are ready to take it to the next level because you know the pitfalls and you're ready to kind of hit the ground running on your debt, then go ahead and check out my video on my exact steps that I use in my system to pay off $30,000 worth of debt in under 1 year. So if you haven't done it already, remember to hit the subscribe button and to hit the bell so that you can get notified when we add more videos like these to help you pay off debt, build wealth, master your money, and transform your life. Oh, and by the way, go ahead and like it so that we can know that these are the type of videos that you want to hear so we can give you more of what you like.